Hello, everybody. How are you guys doing on today? Welcome to the cafe. You guys know how we do it here. Like, tag, and share. Tell a friend to come on down and hang out with us at the cafe. Guys, I am super duper excited on today because I get to hang out with Ella Carey. Okay, Ella, in case you didn't know, when I get excited, I sing sometimes. So if I sing your name, it's just because I'm super duper excited to have Ella Carey here hanging out with us on today, guys. And we're going to be talking about her latest release. It is called The Paris Maid. First of all, check out that cover, guys. It is an amazing, amazing cover. And Ella, how we do it here, I'm going to allow you to introduce yourself to the people, my friend.
Thank you, Angela. Thanks so much for having me today. So I am an author of 11 novels, and I'm really fascinated with beautiful old places and beautiful old buildings, houses. I've always been that way. So my first three books are set around an abandoned apartment in Paris, and feature American women going to Paris to try and solve the kind of mystery as to why this apartment was abandoned. I've also got a series set in old New York. So my New York Secret is the first novel in that series. And then I've got several standalone novels, and including Beyond the Horizon, which is set around the women's Air Force service pilots in the US. And my latest novel is The Paris Maid, which is again set in Paris in the Ritz Hotel, which again is this old, it's in the 1940s during the war. So it's another old, beautiful old building.
I love that. I love that. And I love the fact that you write historical fiction. But for you, when you think about your writing and all the amazing stories that you write, and your history, and all of that stuff, and bringing Paris to life, what would be your tagline? Oh, you may already have one, but what would be your tagline to describe Ella Carey's writing?
I think it's really evocative stories. What I'm really interested in is the truth about perhaps women in the past and beautiful old stories that surround them. Because I think that when people die, we lose them. They're forgotten. So it's about bringing the past to life in a very original way and looking at ordinary women in extraordinary times and in extraordinary settings. It took me a little while to get there, didn't it? That was a tricky question, Angela.
I love it. You did great. You did great. Now, one thing that I want to know, Ella, before we get into the story a little bit, I love titles. I love book covers. And I want to talk about both. First of all, let's talk about this title, The Paris Maid. Okay, Ella, can you spill a little bit of tea? Was this the original working title for this book, or did it kind of evolve over time as you was writing this amazing story?
So my editor came up with this title. She really wanted to. So the original title of the book was actually going to be The Dressmaker's Daughter. Which kind of links in, yeah. So the third book in my New York series is The Girl from Paris, and she was a fashion designer. So I wrote about her in old New York, and so we were kind of maybe, kind of segueing a little bit back to that and looking at The Dressmaker's Daughter for this title. When I'd written the book and delivered it, and my editor had edited it, we decided that the fact that Louise, who is the maid in the Ritz Hotel, her mother is a dressmaker, her mother didn't come into it as much as maybe I thought she originally would. And it was really featuring Louise and her story and honing on her. So my editor suggested The Paris Maid, which I loved. I really loved. So.
I know. I love that title too. The Paris Maid. It's just amazing. Amazing. Okay. So Ella, we're going to go into this since I have this amazing cover up. Please share with us about this beautiful cover. What was your take when you saw it? Did you have any assistance of sharing with them of what you wanted the cover to look like? Tell us about that.
So the first time I saw it, I completely adored it. My publishers do choose my covers, so I don't they don't give me a brief to to start off with. However, they are very sensitive to what I like, to what my books are about, to trying to really build that mood. And I just love it because you've got this amazing evocative sky. I mean, you look at that. I'll hold it up close. You can see.
Wow. Look, I'm looking at the
the
print copy and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, the print copy is like gorgeous.
Yeah. Look at the way the light here. And you've got the Eiffel Tower. I think you've got this very 1940s feel with this woman. And it's kind of mysterious because she's carrying, a bag going up this old staircase. So again, that's very me when I was talking about old buildings and old, entrances to old buildings. So to me, going up that staircase and coming in the door, but then you've got the other side. And then I think the other lovely thing they've put here is the aeroplanes, because the book does feature the story of a downed Allied Air Force pilot as well, Kit. So he comes into this story. So we've got a little nod to World War II, to his story as well. And then the back, you've got this lovely, again, that little opening there, the little balustrade, the old building. So it's very me. I really love this cover too. I just saw it and my heart exploded with joy. I was very happy.
Well, I can definitely tell. And Tiffany of Tipsy Plays, she was saying that she loved it, and also that it has beautiful colors. And I definitely agree with that. It is definitely one of those covers that is eye-catching as well. And like you said, it does have a little bit of mystery, a little mystery, a mysterious feel to it as well. So thank you for sharing that about this this cover. Now, you share with us about the cover. You share with us about the title, The Paris Maid. Can you share with us on today what inspired this story?
I think it started off, it's interesting. It actually did start off with the Ritz, with the hotel in Paris, because I'd read and I'd learned that it was such a popular of a situation during World War II, because the top ranking Nazis actually took over the Ritz and lived there throughout the war. And so as soon as they occupied Paris, they marched in and decided to set themselves up in the most beautiful hotel in the world, one of the most beautiful hotels in the world. And Goering was living in the Imperial Suite, which is the most magnificent suite in the hotel. So there were French guests living there. And it was really interesting because there were French, movie stars and very famous people. And there were two halves to the hotel. So the Nazis kicked the French guests out and put them in the smaller rooms that look over Rue Cambon, which is where Chanel's boutique was. And the Nazis took over the big suites on the Place Vendôme side of the hotel. The first time I went to Paris, I saw the Place Vendôme, which is the wealthiest square in the world. It's now where the Ritz is. It overlooks it. It's just beautiful. It's magnificent. They were all palaces. So the hotel was originally a palace, and so I've been in trance. It's just very me. So there was that. So I started off, wanting to write a book about Chanel's time during the war, Coco Chanel.
Okay.
But as I got into the research, I decided that I thought I'm going to write a book about an ordinary person in this hotel, someone who's actually, and I came up with the idea of a maid because she's working for the resistance, and I wanted to really give her a major challenge. I wanted to give her a really rich backstory and a strong character. So at the beginning of the story, Louise is working away. She's working for the resistance. She's very good at maths. She loves numbers. And her dad abandoned the family when she was young. And so she's kind of hidden away in the hotel. And not on top of that, she's not heard from her mother, the dressmaker, for 4 years. She keeps writing to her. So she's quite alone in this hotel. She's got this little kind of family around her, with with other staff members who are also working for the resistance. But she's translating codes for the underground. And what they were doing was she was a maid, so she could spy and tell the resistance network who was staying in the hotel at what time. So what Nazis were in residence, and they all had codes. So she had this head for remembering numbers, but also remembering information. And one of the funny details, they used to call the Nazis by vegetables, the names of vegetables, and then send these codes on to the Allies in neutral countries. So Goering, who was a very infamous Nazi, was a potato, which she thought was hilarious. So she's coding, but then at the opening of the novel, a Nazi girl is literally parachuting in to share her room, and she's told she's got to share her room with a Nazi, but she's in the resistance. So she's got all this, tension going on in her personal life, but she's also scared. So yeah, I wanted to create a really rich character of my own, and I felt like Louise just came to me and started talking to me in first person, which sounds really weird. So the novel's written, her scenes are written in first person. So she was quite an intense character.
Wow. An interesting one. Wow. Guys, if you are just joining us, Ella Carey is hanging out with us on today, guys. She is talking about her latest release, The Paris Maid. And guys, guess what? She's spilling a little bit of tea. So go ahead, like, tag, and share. Tell a friend, come on down to the cafe, because we're talking The Paris Maid with Ella Carey on today. And Ella, speaking of that, you shared a little bit about Louise and some of the characters in the story, but with reading it, it's almost like the Ritz Paris is a character in itself. Did you do that on purpose, or tell us a little bit about that, about the Ritz Paris Hotel and it being a character within this story?
Yeah, absolutely. That's very me. I think in all my books, I've always been very setting oriented. I've always since I was a little girl, I remember going to New Zealand with my family, with my parents, and we walked into this big old house, and I had that moment. I was only about 8 or 9, but what happened here? What are the stories? What does this building hold? And for me, when I started reading about the Ritz, I think that it was just so fascinating with this, because you walk into that building now and it's a grand opulent hotel, and you think luxury, you think this immediate presence of this incredible elegance.
Right.
And that I have my contemporary character, Nicole, is Louise's granddaughter. So the reason she goes to the Ritz is to find out what her grandmother was doing during the war, because she didn't know.
Yeah.
And so she's confronted with this photo of her grandmother having been accused of being a Nazi collaborator at the beginning of the book. So at the heart of the story is also about Nicole. So she goes to this opulent, renovated hotel in the present and feels that past. It's all the stories of the people who've gone before you. So it's just been recently renovated as well. So the Imperial Suite where Goering lived is the most expensive, the grandest suite. But just going there, the history, I find it fascinating.
I love it. I love it. Can you share with us your writing process? And it can even be with this particular story, since this is your latest release, The Paris Maid. What came first for you? Was it these amazing characters, or was it the plot when it came to The Paris Maid? Look, spill a little more tea for us.
Yeah. For me, writing is about eliciting emotion in myself when I write, and then eliciting that emotion in the reader. So it's that connectivity that they're going to feel something. So I know when I've got a story or a character because I'm feeling it. I'm viscerally, really emotively connected to it, and connected to that character. So for me, it was Louise. It was her. It was the character that came first. So she was really intense. As I said, I said to my editor, I need to write this in first person, present tense, which I haven't, because it was just such a strong voice coming out. So it was her, definitely. As I said, I kind of started with the Ritz, Chanel, this whole thing. And I thought, you know what? No, I've got this maid. I've got her. And her character really came to life first. I then layered in, so the process was then I then learned, that's what happened. I learned that there were, during the war in the Ritz, there were also refugees hidden in the Ritz because they had such a strong underground network of resistance activity amongst the staff. So you had the Nazis living there, but the staff were actually working for the French resistance. So it was such a pot boiler. Like who did you trust? It was just perfect for a novel. It was amazing. And so, but I wanted to bring in an Allied aircraft, somebody who was hidden there. So that's where I found Kit. So he then came in next, and I read a lot of diaries of downed pilots. And my father, I'm actually kind of born a generation out. My parents were a lot older when I was born, and my father was actually an pilot during the war, and he dropped parachutists over France for the French resistance. But he was also in a plane accident and broke his back. Yeah, he wasn't flying the plane; he was in the plane. But so Kit came, and I guess that was a bit of a way of connecting with my dad and what things might have been like for him. So Kit lands in. His plane crashes. He lands north of Paris, and he loses touch with his younger brother, who was also in the plane. And so there's a whole story there. And then once I'd done all of this, I thought, you know what? As I said, it's about eliciting emotion, and structural concerns come after that emotion for me. I then layered in Nicole because I thought this is going to be so much stronger. I love dual timeline novels, and I decided this needs to be one. I need Louise's granddaughter trying to find out about this, this little hothouse of a hotel and what was going on there.
Right.
And about her grandmother's involvement. So it was that process. It was Louise, then Kit, then Nicole, but it was definitely character, I reckon, that came before plot, and then the plot sort of directed itself from there.
Wow, thank you for sharing. Look, interesting. It's like I'm sitting on the edge of my seat as well. And you told us a little bit about some of the characters. But speaking of one of the characters, Nicole, which is Louise, is her granddaughter. If you had to describe her for us, how would you describe Nicole's character?
So Nicole is, she's at an interesting point in her life. She adored her grandmother. She adored Louise and had this really strong connection with her. But she's a little, I think she needs to find out what happened, because there's this kind of disconnect within her family. So her Aunt Mariah is not, not supportive of Louise, of her own mother. She's they're estranged. She doesn't get along with her. So and I think there's this sort of element of doubt within Nicole, sort of what's going on there, and her family is disconnected. So what happens at the beginning of the story is she's in the supermarket, and she receives this text from her Aunt Mariah, and it's a photograph of Louise being accused of being a Nazi collaborator, because at the end of the war, women who were accused of collaborating with Nazis had their heads shaved, swastikas painted on their foreheads, and they were paraded around the towns of France and Paris in the backs of trucks by French men, shaved their heads. This was after the Allies had come through. It was brutal. And anyway, and it's a very complex topic. But she sees, so her aunt sends her a photograph of her granny, of her adored Granny Louise. That she has this kind of thread of kind of closeness within the family, and says she was a Nazi collaborator. This explains everything. This is, it tells us everything. So Nicole is she's married, they just bought their first home, and she's expecting her first baby. So it's not only about her, it's about the future of her child and her family. She wants to honor her grandmother. She wants to prove that she could not have been a Nazi collaborator. So she goes to Paris. But you've got this kind of antagonistic force with her aunt, who's so anti her own mother. And I found that really interesting, in families, how sometimes one older relative will be so maligned by some members of the family, whereas other people love. And I was really interested in that tension, which I think we're just seeing playing out so much in our world now. And how do we reconcile it? How do we come? So it is about forgiveness in the novel, I think, at its heart. It is about coming to understanding, and then understanding leading us to be able to kind of make peace with the past and come to some sort of forgiveness. And I think that's in all my novels, this idea of understanding about these places, these people, and then kind of trying to reconcile that. So Nicole is definitely, she's got that slight bit of conflict inside it, and that I think needs to be resolved for her to be able to move forward.
Wow. Wow, God, I know. Look, they are saying in the comment section that this is real interesting. You have people sitting on the edge of their seat as well, and I know they are ready. Guys, hold on tight. Ella Carey, yes, she's going to read a snippet enough to wet your whistles about this amazing story, the Paris Maid. So Ella, you can get your snippet ready. We'll have you to read that for us, guys. If you're just joining us, we're hanging out with Ella Carey on today. Her latest release, the Paris Maid, which is available now. We will definitely be sharing with you of how you can get your hands on a copy of this amazing story as well. So Ella, we are ready when you are to hear a little bit of the Paris Maid.
Okay, so this is Louise. It's a very short little snippet of Louise in that. I'm just going to actually turn my emails off because they're buzzing. We don't need that happening. Okay. I am adjusting my maid's apron before breakfast when there is a soft tap on my bedroom door. I freeze. Billie Holiday's I'll Be Seeing You swells through the room and I wait. I love a bit of Billie Holiday before breakfast. In fact, I think everyone should try it. It does one no end of good. Perhaps I imagine the sound, but there it is again, distinct. 3 knocks, followed by a pause, before another 4 taps. I stay still. We maids have been trained never to answer to anyone except our supervisor, Juliet. If the inhabitants of the Ritz Hotel are not Nazis, then they are underground. If they are not underground, then they are collaborators. Only a fool would answer their bedroom door in the Ritz. In normal circumstances, one would assume that no guest would have any interest in knocking on the door of a mere maid. In normal circumstances, no guest would be able to make their way into the staff quarters of a magnificent hotel. But these are no ordinary circumstances, and the Ritz is not just any magnificent hotel.
Wow. Okay, guys, she gave you just enough. Okay, that if you haven't read The Paris Maid, you are ready to go and get you a copy like right now. Okay. Oh my goodness. Ella, thank you so much for sharing that with us as well. They are, look, Myra said, wow. Yes, that was a wow factor of a snippet as well. Ella, share with us before we play a round of this or that. Can you share with us what do you enjoy about writing World War II stories or just historical fiction in general?
I think World War II is personal for me because my parents were both involved in the war and have both now passed away. My mother was 19 when the war, probably 18 when the war came out. She just started at university and went and joined the Air Force in Australia. And women weren't allowed to fly here, but she literally went with, a bunch of her old school friends, and they lived in nissen huts in this flat landscape north of Adelaide in the middle of Australia, and it was an Air Force training base. And that's where she met my dad. He came in to train as a pilot, and I think they literally met a few times. They danced, they wrote to each other when he went off to fly over France, and then fell in love, got married after the war. But they never talked about it. They never really talked about their experiences beyond the fact that my dad, I remember him telling me he was given a boiled egg for breakfast before they went out flying. But it was just shut off. And I think it's really interesting now that there's this explosion of women telling these stories about World War II. And I think that there is a generation whose parents are dying, and it's this kind of close connection we have to this scary, terrible conflict that enveloped the world. And all of these stories about women are coming out. But in general, I love historical fiction, historical stories. I love contemporary stories. I can tell you stories all day. But it is a personal, it's a personal connection for me as well. So for me, writing these books has perhaps brought me a bit closer to mum and dad and their memory, and maybe what life might have been like for them. During those years, they were so young, 18 to 22, 23, and those formative years, it was just thrown at them, and they had to drop everything. And the fear, the danger they were living under. So very stoic generation.
Wow. What Thank you so much for sharing that with us, guys. If you're just joining us, hanging out with Ella Carey on today, guys. Her latest release, it is available, the Paris Maid, and she's about her story on today. She's been a tea as well. So, of course, like, tag, and share. Tell a friend to come on down and hang out with us here at the cafe as we talk with Ella today. Of course, you have to play a round of this or that, but I promise you, my friend, there is no right or wrong answer because it is all things according to you. Are you ready?
I am. I'm game. I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah.
First up, audiobook or podcast?
Audiobook.
Okay.
Audiobook. I think I love listening to stories. My mum used to read to me when I was little every night, and we read so many
Nice.
novels together. She was amazing. So I do like being read to, I have to say. Yeah. But I do enjoy
I love
podcasts
that.
as well.
I love that. Okay. Next up, beach or mountains?
Oh, beach. I love the
Okay.
beach. So I've always loved the sea, and again, there's just something so magical and soothing, and the sea takes you away. I live
Okay.
in Australia, so I'm down the other end of the world. So I look at the sea and I'm going somewhere. I'm I'm imagining what's at the end of that horizon.
I love that. And look, and Ella, I think we all felt that. Okay. You are beach all through and through. Okay. Next up, are you a phone call or text message? Phone call or text message?
I prefer a phone call, I think. I love to talk to people. I think that it's more natural, and I think it's more interactive, and I think you can pick up a lot more nuance in a phone call than you can over a text. Texts are great, they're very convenient, and I think I used to sit on the phone to my girlfriends as a teenager for hours. You know how we all did that? And now it's this kind of text, text, text. So I think talking's great.
Okay. No, are you full or glass half empty?
A glass half full or a glass half empty? You just dropped out a little bit more for me then. Yeah,
Huh?
I'm definitely glass
Yes,
half
that's
full or
correct.
glass.
Glass half full or glass half empty?
Definitely kind of when I start off with the glass half empty and I'm looking at something, I then switch it around to glass half full. So I tend to kind of turn it, I'll look at it and I'll see the empty glass, but I'll always try and find the silver lining and try and find the glass half full, and okay, what can we take from
Okay.
this, and what and I kind of always find it, which is really good. Why did this happen? It's good this happened. And I get there, but sometimes it takes a little while.
Nice. Thanks for sharing. Okay, last one, and we have to know this one here for the cafe. Is Ella Carey, are you team tea or are you team coffee?
Oh, I'm team tea. I love my tea. So my first thing I have in the morning is English breakfast tea. And then I have a beautiful pot of English breakfast tea and then I mid-morning, so soon my time, it's 9:30, so we're getting towards 10 o'clock. I'll have a nice cup of lemongrass and ginger tea. With lunch, I have peppermint tea
Okay.
always. Even if I'm going out for lunch, I've got to have
Okay.
peppermint tea. It's very good. Late
Okay.
afternoon, I'll either go back to my peppermint, lemongrass, and ginger, and evening chamomile tea. So it's tea.
It's tea. Look, team tea through and through throughout the day as well. I love that.
Tea all
I
the
love that.
way. Yeah,
Guys, if
yeah.
you are just yes, some team tea people join us in the comment section as well. Meyer Cook is one of those team tea people as well. Guys, if you're just joining us, we're hanging out with Ella Carey on today. Her latest release, the Paris Maid. And of course, there is a giveaway on this today. And I'm going to allow Ella to share with us what her giveaway on today is going to be.
So what I have today is a signed copy of the Paris Maid. So I'm happy to send it anywhere in the world from here in Australia. And so it'll be obviously a paperback book. And yeah, thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you, Angela. And so yeah, I'll let Angela run the giveaway and sort out who's going to win that. And good luck to everyone.
And Ella, you are actually my helper because I'm going to go up and down the comment section, my friend, and you're going to tell me to stop. And that person will be the winner of a signed copy, guys. Did y'all see that print copy? A signed print copy from Ella Carey of the Paris Maid. Okay, Ella, I start now and ready when you are, and whenever you tell me to stop, my friend.
Okay, I can't see anything, so I'm just going to say stop.
Okay. Okay. Antoinette Gates, you are the winner of a signed copy, my friend, from Ella Carey, the Paris Maid. For sure, get that. And guys, I don't know if you are aware, but Ella Carey is gracing us with her presence all the way from Australia, guys. So where she is, it's actually 9 a.m. in the morning. So I am just so excited and thankful to you, Ella Carey, for hanging out with us this morning on your end as well. So again, thank you so much. It has been amazing hanging out with you. Congratulations, Antoinette, for that. And thank all of you for hanging out with us on. And before we end, I want you to share with us how they can get their hands on a copy of The Paris Maid.
Yeah, so the best thing to do is to head over to Amazon, and you can order you can buy it on Kindle, and you can also buy the paperback book through Amazon too, in the US. And yeah, that's the best thing to do. So it's also on Kindle Unlimited as well.
Yes,
so if
so
you're
you
in
guys
Kindle
heard it
Unlimited,
here.
you can
get it in ebook and print.
Mm-hmm. And audio book
I
as well.
love
So
that.
there's a beautiful audio book too. Yeah.
Oh, how exciting. So guys, it's available in formats, whatever suits your fancy. So if you like audiobook, ebook, or print, you can get your hands on a copy of the Paris Maid as well. And of course, guys, once you finish reading it, make sure you leave a review. I know that Ella Carey would be so appreciative of that as well. Now, Ella, can you share with them how they can stay connected with you?
Oh, absolutely. So I have a Facebook page, which is Ella Carey Author. And I love connecting with my readers there. I also have a website, www.ellacarey.com. And I'm on Instagram at Ella_Carey. And I'm also on Twitter as well. If you look up Ella Carey, you'll see me there. So, but my Facebook is probably where I post most regularly. Although I'm trying to get onto Instagram as well and sort of post simultaneously there. But I've got a lovely long time community of beautiful readers who I adore and value very much. So thank you so much, Angela, for having me as well. And thank you everybody for coming along. It's really been lovely.
You are so welcome. We've had an amazing time hanging out with you guys, and we have put it in the comment section as well. Ella Carey, her website, so you can follow her there. Of course, you can follow her on social media. And Ella, on your website, is there a newsletter as well that they can sign up for to stay connected with you?
Yeah, so there's 2 newsletters. So I have a newsletter, personal one through my website that you can sign up for there. But I also have my publisher, Bookouture, also have a newsletter for me. So they will write to you if you'd like to sign up for that one. There's a link on my website as well, and they'll let you know when my new books come out. So that's when they'll write to you. And in the back of all my books, you can see that little link to sign up for that author newsletter from my publishers as well. So there's 2, which is good.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So, guys, you heard it here. There is 2 newsletters. There is one on Ella Carey's personal website, the www.ellacarey.com. And then you can also go to her publisher's website, Bookature, and you can also sign up for a newsletter there as well. So that is super cool. And again, Ella Carey, thank you so much for hanging out with us here at the cafe. It has been an amazing time talking about your new release, The Paris Maid. As we said, guys, it is available now. And I want to allow Ella Carey to have the last words of what she wants to say to the people on today.
Oh, look, I'd just like to thank you all for coming along. I can see some of my lovely long-term readers have joined us today. And if you're watching later and you've come along to watch this afterwards, thank you for taking the time to listen and to join us today. Thank you, Angela, for having me. It was just lovely chatting with you. You were such a wonderful interviewer and so enthusiastic, which I picked up on immediately with you. And so it's been a real joy and an honor to be here today. Thank you.
You are so welcome. You are so welcome. And guys, that is our show on today. And again, definitely go to her website, check her out, check out any of her books from her backlist as well. Follow her on social media. Make sure you get a copy of The Paris Maid. And as we always say, have an amazing day because we're having an amazing day. And until next time, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.